Welcome back to Connect with Jonathan Mark. I'm so excited for season 3. It's going to be a lot of unsolved cases, missing person cases, and just everyday type of readings that I do with my clients. And I'm going to be bringing you guys on here for them. I'm really excited. But this week, I have my good friend, Kate Casey, who always comes on and we discuss cases. And I really like this episode because we discussed 3 cases that, one, I didn't know about. She just basically reached out to me and she's like, I have these 3 cases. I want to see what you feel from them. And they were really interesting cases, and I really hope it helps the families. But then we get into a very deep kind of talk about the afterlife. And I really think it's very educational, but also it's just very feel good after talking about some very serious stuff. So guys, thank you so much for always being there for me and always listening. And let's get into the episode.
Jonathan, it's been a beat, and I wanted to talk about some missing cases, some missing persons cases, because
of course, yeah.
I have to believe that with time, sometimes we get answers even to the cases that happened decades ago. The first case is the Sodder children. So it's Christmas Eve, 1945. A fire breaks out in the family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny escape with their 4 of their children. But 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louise, Jenny, and Betty, were said to have perished in the flames. So they have 9 children, 4 escape, but the 5 others, again, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were said to have perished in the flames. Except there were no bodies. There were no bones. There were no teeth. There was not a single fragment conclusively linked to the children. So investigators claim that the fire burned hot enough to completely destroy them, but experts later challenged that conclusion. House fires simply don't behave that way, even in intense burns. There has to be something that still remains. So the questions did not stop there. Now, neighbors reported seeing the children alive after the fire, riding in a car, passing through town. Jenny Sodder received strange phone calls as well. A photograph surfaced years later of a young man who strongly resembled her missing son, Louis. And then there were the warnings. A stranger had once told George that his house would burn down and his children would be destroyed because of his outspoken criticism of Mussolini's Italy. What happened to the 5 other children?
Oh my God. That is actually insane. It's insane to me that no one has brought this story up or done something on it.
I know.
Well, what I could see as a major, I'll say a suspect or suspects, I guess. I'm not going to say names, obviously, because I just don't want,
Well, it was 1945. We're in 2026. You may as well.
It's mafia related.
Is it?
Yeah, I see. It's family mafia related.
Is it? Because this is in West Virginia in 1945. I would not have assumed the mafia would be an issue there at that point in time in history, perhaps, but the location, West Virginia, that's interesting. But again, the father was outspoken in his criticism of Mussolini.
It's either it's really either mafia or a strong Italian family. You know what I mean? Because that's what they keep putting the Italian flag in front of me, not because he was outspoken. That has nothing to do. Obviously, that probably has something to do with it. But what I'm talking about is the actual suspects that did it.
What are the names of the suspects that come forward to you?
Well, one of them has a strong S-sounding name.
Is it an Italian name?
Could be. It could be Sam, Sal, something like that. But that's just speculation. It's just I see an S coming through for that. Not because it's Sodder, like you said. Has nothing to do with that. I also see G too. A very strong G name. Those are the 2 that I see. And obviously there's one, but it's hard to, when someone puts Matthew Michael in front of me, it's hard to tell which one is which, right? Especially when I'm not talking to the family, but it seems like it was a group effort. And that's why I'm saying I think it's from a family. It's not, or from, again, they're waving the Italian flag in front of me. So it has to be from a family.
So not their own family, but an outside family.
Yeah.
And what about the fact, so the 4 of the kids escape, but the other 5, there's no remnants of them in the aftermath of the flames. The mother gets this strange phone call. There's a photo that surfaces years later of a boy that looked incredibly like one of the kids. And then there was the stranger that once told George that his house would burn down and his children would be destroyed. So do you think that they actually lived?
I think some did, yeah.
Were they kidnapped? Were they taken far away? Were they tortured? What?
I don't think so. To me, it looks like they were more so on the kidnapping side. I don't think they were tortured.
I must have just. Okay, so then are they taken to another part of the country? I'm going back in time for 1945. I mean, obviously, you're a child. You don't have access to the resources that we have now. Would these children just be told, okay, this is your name now. This is your new mother?
Well, it seems like they were all fairly young when this happened. So from what I can see, it's just, I guess you can say changing identity, but it really just seems like it became like a part of living to them because they were gone for so long.
Right.
You know, like how like people get like, not brainwashed, that's not the right term, but like when you see someone, then all of a sudden you start calling them Uncle Mike because like that's what everyone's telling you to call this person when you're younger. Like that, it's the same thing.
And I wonder how they were able to pull that off. And the unimaginable truth that someone would be so angry at you that they would want to set your house on fire and put your entire family in jeopardy it's unthinkable.
It really is. And like it does go back to, you keep, saying about the 1940s and stuff, like technology then obviously versus now is so different, right? So getting away with things back then, I would assume was a lot easier to do. And also people also have to remember too, like corruption was like also a big thing around that time.
Right. So if you know something, you may not necessarily say anything because the officer that you would go to may be in bed with this family, or that your own life may be put in jeopardy, if not that of your own family.
Exactly. Like a lot of the corruption stuff was like a lot more like prevalent then because it's not like today where you have like a system of people to like, to look over these cops or these sergeants. Like now there's like all these different types of groups that will make sure, and yes, like some fall through the cracks, obviously, that's just what happens. But especially in West Virginia, in a small like area, like I feel like there was like, there could have been corruption, and then also there's not a lot of resources and just things like that.
Now, one could say, boy, for someone to be that upset about outspoken criticism of
Mussolini, right?
Like in another country, but even in the year 2026, look at our own world and how people get so heated with politics. And then to be in a time where, like you said, you're void of resources and you're living in fear.
It's you don't even know. And you bring up a good point. Like people can look back and be like, why would someone be so pissed about that? But, people get pissed about things today that people probably in 50 years would be like, why were they so mad about that? So it makes sense.
These poor kids. So do you think do you think all 5 survived or just maybe a couple?
I think just really unfortunately, just a few.
Do you think that there is any point as they get older that they start to think to themselves, like something feels off, maybe I don't belong in this family, or they researched it or anything? Like there could be grandchildren that may do like a 23andMe test and find out.
That's what I think what would break it open would be like now the grandchildren doing 23andMe. Because I feel like back then, like those kids like would be either still alive or very, very old or past, right? So it would have to be the grandchildren, I would think. But I don't know if they would know any different. When you're a kid and, a traumatic situation happens, sometimes people just block it out and they don't even remember some of the stuff.
Also, I feel like interviewing people that you do feel such loyalty to people that took care of you that maybe
Right.
you would feel disloyal if you pursued a 23andMe test or if you wanted to
Yeah.
meet somebody because you feel like you're disrespecting the people that raised you.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Oh, so yes, the Sodder children. So if I were to say their names one more time, tell me if there's a name that jumps out to you as maybe somebody who may have survived. Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, Betty.
Did you say the last one was Betty? Like
Yeah.
Betty? Like Betty?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Betty.
that one. Yeah.
Oh, heartbreaking. Okay, well, here's another one. I came
Another
across
fun one.
this on social media. I had never heard of it before, and it has to do with the child actor. So Joe Pichler was a familiar face to a generation of kids in the 90s. He appeared in Beethoven and Beethoven 2, or Beethoven 2nd. One of those, wholesome family films that seemed to play endlessly on cable TV. So he wasn't necessarily a household name, but he was recognizable. The kind of child actor you feel like you grew up with. Because again, back in those days, it would be like, something would play 14 times during the week.
Yeah.
So in January of 2006, Joe disappears. He was 18 years old. He'd been living in Bremerton, Washington. And on the night that he vanishes, Joe leaves home and he never returns home. Days later, his car was found abandoned near a ferry terminal. Now, inside were some of his belongings. There was no sign of a struggle, no confirmed sightings, there's no body. Authorities later suggested that he may have left behind a note indicating suicidal thoughts, and for many, that explanation became the end of the story. But for his family and for those who still think about this case, that explanation has never felt complete. Because even if somebody is struggling, even if they're in pain, people don't simply vanish without leaving some sort of trace of where they went. So what makes this disappearance especially haunting is the timing. So of course, he's 18, he's not a child anymore, but he wasn't fully an adult either. So he was in that fragile in-between space, no longer protected by the structure of your childhood, but not yet settled into who you're going to become. So former child actors often talk about that period as very disorienting. The attention is fading. There's this expectation that has expectations shift, and then your identity becomes complicated. And then there's the water. So the ferry's terminal looms large in this case. Water often symbolizes transition, crossings, endings, thresholds. It's a place where things are left, but don't always come back. So whether he intended to disappear, intended to return, or never planned for that night to be his last known moment, that's the question still lingers. So is this a case of he was having suicidal thoughts? Maybe it was just a precarious period in his life where we all go through, when you're 18 and you're kind of moving
Figuring it out.
you're transitioning. On top of the fact, you have worked in this industry, maybe you are providing financial resource to other people, and now you're worried that may end. Yeah. You're identified. Maybe also you were successful, but never went past a certain threshold.
Yeah.
So the ferry part of it is interesting too. Why go there? So tell me what you think.
Well, from what I can see, and my heart breaks for the family, honestly, I think it was a mixture of how people will use the term an accidental overdose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something similar to that in the sense where from what I can see, I don't think he was in the right state of mind. Yeah. I don't think I'm sure he had plans, and I'm sure, he was playing it off well that he was doing relatively okay. But from what I can see, trying to tap in as much as I can from what you said, it looks kind of similar to an accidental overdose where someone was in a very low point and they did something not great.
I see. Okay.
My heart breaks for that family. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like it's also hard to prevent that too. You know what I mean?
To not have answers for 20 years.
Yeah, that's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah. there's this case of the Beaumont children, and this is from Australia.
Ah, gotta love the Australians. They're such great people, by the way.
Such great people. On Australia Day in 1966, there were 3 siblings, Jane, Arna, and Grant Beaumont. They board a bus from their home in Adelaide to a beach town. Jane was 9, Arna was 7, Grant was just 4 years old. It was a short, familiar trip, one they'd taken before. And going back in time, I mean, I don't know how many people would do that now in 2026.
Right.
But there are these 3 little kids, and they get on, again, they get on a bus from their town to go to a beach town. Jane's 9, Arna's 7, Grant is 4 years old. And they've taken this trip before. They're expected home by early afternoon, but they never came back. So witnesses later reported seeing the children at the beach in the company of a man described as tall, blonde, and well-spoken. Somebody who wouldn't necessarily raise alarms. Someone who seemed safe enough. And that detail may be the most chilling part of all, because whatever happened next didn't look like chaos. It looked calm, planned, and deliberate. As the hours passed, concern turns to panic and then to dread. So despite massive searches, nationwide attention, and decades of investigation, there was no trace of the Beaumont children ever found. No confirmed remains, no definitive suspect, just fragments like these sightings, the rumors, the alleged confessions, but none of them seemed to bring any answers. Their parents, Grant and Nancy, spent the rest of their lives waiting for the knock of the door, for any proof, waiting for the children to come home, or for certainty that never arrived. Now, they refused to move houses in case the children returned home, which is beyond heartbreaking.
That's like absolutely hard. Yeah.
They held out on hope long past what most people could obviously bear, and that's what makes this case so devastating. So they didn't just vanish from the beach, they vanished into uncertainty. So in the long, quiet suffering of these unanswered questions, into a space where grief has no ending because there's no truth to anchor it. So more than a half a century later, Australians still know their names. They still feel the loss. They're still wondering who that man was and how these 3 kids could simply disappear in broad daylight on a public beach on a national holiday. So again, their names were Jane, age 9, Arna, age 7, and Grant, age 4. Do you think that tall, blonde man had anything to do with their disappearance?
I would love for people to do research on this. I'm going to give them a name or like an initial, really, but for a suspect who I see. Okay. It's an H name, like a male. So it could be like Henry, Harry. It's an H name. And this person has done this before. This isn't someone from what I mean, this person's passed. That's the only reason why I'm able to connect to the person that, or trying my best to connect to the suspect. The suspect is not here anymore.
Okay.
It's an H name. It's like Henry or Harry. It's one of the two. But this does not seem like it's the first time at all. And like when you bring up the word planned, I don't think necessarily those 3 were planned. I think it's kind of like wrong place, wrong time. It's like a guy's there looking for children that are alone at this beach, and you have 3 kids that are alone at this beach, and that's what happened.
So when you tap into it, especially since this person is no longer with us, are they taking you through their lens of what they saw on the beach?
I'm really going through the lens. I know I'm like I'm like the person's there. I'm trying not to connect with the suspect, I believe. I'm connecting with one of the kids. And they're showing it to me through a lens of, you can describe the person as normal, I guess. That's the best way I can explain it. Like, I guess not threatening. Like it wasn't a creepy person in a trench coat, or it really wasn't like that. It would be like me going to a beach and seeing an older guy that looks like a surfer.
Right.
Or like a beach town type of guy. Like that's what I see through their lens of it, I guess you can say. All these are heartbreaking, obviously, but yeah, it's heartbreaking what this guy did. Because again, like I think my thing is that from what they're showing to me, they aren't the only 3. Like there's other people.
So is this somebody who was just a serial predator and assaulted, or are we talking about a serial killer?
It's both. I think some were like
Just assaulted.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, just assaulted. And I think he killed a bunch. So you can call him a serial killer too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Has this person been gone for a very long time?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this person, from what I can see, I don't want to tap into them. So I'm going through
Okay.
one of the kids. But from what I can see, this person's been gone for a while, for like a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to say, for if there's any family member connected to any one of these cases, like I would obviously offer my help if they want my help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah. My heart breaks because this little girl's 9 and she takes her siblings with her to the beach.
That's the worst part. It's like how, again, all of them are horrible, but the worst part is that they were so young with it. Yeah.
When a child passes that young, is there a period of time where they're kind of coming to terms with what happened in their life, or do they move on into a new life right away?
The best way I can explain it, I guess, is like, I guess they're coming to terms with it and also wanting to protect the family that's still alive. So they kind of come to terms with the situation that happened, which is typically, tragic. And then they want to just protect like the mom, the dad, and watch over them. And they want to reunite with the family. Granted, there are some personalities that would want to come back instantly. Like they don't want to wait. They want to join the party again. Like, but I would say majority of the time they would want to be with their immediate family. Like they would wait for their parents.
One of the things that I think of often is this idea that you told me that we're operating in pods of 300.
Oh yeah.
And I'd love for you to just explain that one more time, because
Yeah, sure.
I think if you think about it the way I think about it all the time, is that there are people that pop up in your life and you can't always explain why you have a deep connection, or maybe sometimes they do something that really annoys you and you're like, that bothers me more than it would bother me with other people.
100%. So basically people will ask me, they're like, how many people are on the other side with you? Or like, like, is your family always with you? And are you with all these other people? And the way that I try to explain like things to people with like reincarnation, because they always ask, are you reincarnated also back with the same people? And the answer to that is kind of like, it's like, yes, but from what and again, 300 is just a number that I'm using, but it's like you're in a group of 300 and and in each life, you're interacting with those people of that 300, right? And people may be like, 300 is like a large number. But if you think about it, like
the number of people you meet in a life.
Yeah, it's
people
minuscule.
I meet in a month.
Yeah, it's like super tiny, but it's people that have done great things for you or horrible things for you, because it shapes you into who you are. Like that's just what it is. So you have these people that shaped you into the person that you are. So like when I say horrible, it's like an ex-girlfriend or like someone like your first heartbreak, like, because that shapes you to turn into the person who you're going to end up with. Like it changes your perception of what you want in a partner. So that's kind of like what I kind of gathered from doing this for so long and talking to other mediums and stuff. And people then will ask me, well, then when you break down that 300 and you get smaller into the group, what's the interaction with like your family? And it's like my mom could be my sister in my next life, and I could be my mom's father or mother. Like who knows? Like it just changes, but you're with like from the 300 to an even more of a smaller group, and that stays, but their relationships change. So, and I think about that too, because I'm like, 300, it's like not a lot of people. So like certain people in my life that came in that were like my best friends for like years, and then I haven't heard from them in like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like they shaped who I am, like how I view things, like, so I just want people just to know that. And that's cool that you brought it up, because
Well, and also, I was like, how old? You were how old when we met? And I think the idea before that is to think you have the same, like, your immediate family is just going to be, the same in the next life.
Yeah.
But kind of the sweetness of, as you get older, you're still continuing to meet people in that pod. And you're going to be surprised by it and delighted by it as you get older. You might not meet somebody until you're,
50, 60.
50, 60, 70, maybe even 80 in a retirement home, where you're like, you meet somebody and you're like, I definitely know you. There's something that we have an understanding that I can't explain.
100%. And, that's, bringing it back to like us and stuff. It's like I was not expecting going on Jenny McCarthy's show. Like, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't on my realm of things while being a medium. Like when I was like transitioning from my previous, career, like, to this was like, I never thought, and it was weird because I met someone. I mean, it's a crazy story because it's like, I never heard of a podcast then, like never. Went on one that was at iHeart Radio or whatever. And then all of a sudden the person was a radio host and was like, I have a, Rolodex of people at Sirius XM. Jenny was the only one that really like responded, was like, I want him in. And then that's how it happened. And then I saw your name and I was just like, I don't know why I feel like I need to reach out. And that's kind of what it was. Like,
yep.
Yeah. So it is really weird. I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah. I go through life and I keep thinking, oh, are they in the 300 pod?
I think that all the time too.
Yeah.
Did you make the cut?
Did you make the cut? But that's also, I think, an important lesson too. And sometimes we get into friendships and maybe they
fizzle out.
They don't last they last a season.
Yeah,
right?
They fizzle out. Yeah.
And you might beat yourself up about it. And you just have to think they weren't in the 300 pod.
They weren't.
Their purpose was very minimal in your life.
Exactly. And like sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow because you view these people as like very important people. But then it like the hardest thing is like when the friendship ends, like how fast it ended and how like there's no one reaching out to like mend that friendship. And then you have to think back to what you said, like they're not in the 300 pod. So it's like, like you could definitely feel the way you feel. I would never tell someone not to, but also know they're not in that like group. So just know like they served a purpose for a very short time, but not significant enough for you. And then there's people that, your friendships could be 10, 15 years, they fizzle out and they're in the 300 pod because they played such a significant role for like a large part of your life. So,
yeah. So it may not last your entire life, but it served a very specific
purpose,
evolutional purpose.
100%. Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, tell everybody what you're working on now, where they can find you.
Season 3, my podcast is coming up. This is going to be the first episode with you. And my podcast is called Connect with Jonathan Mark. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Jonathan Mark Medium. And I'll be posting some updates. I might have a cool couple projects coming up that I hope I can share soon. And I think I can. So, but just be on the lookout for that.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Kate, thank you so much for always coming on the show. But guys, if you have any cases that you want me to discuss, that you are a part of, please email connectjonathanmark@gmail.com. We are going through the list. We have a big list, but I want to try and tackle as much of it as I can. And please do not forget to follow my social media accounts over at Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and it's all Jonathan Mark Medium. Also, guys, I know I sound like a broken record, but please do not forget to rate and review the show 5 stars. It really helps out. I will see you guys next week.